Cruise ships are basically little floating towns where any situation that could happen on land can happen at sea. This is one particular situation cruise ship operators don't want you to focus on. The cruise ship industry has a particular acronym, MOB. It stands for Man Overboard, and it's used to refer to any time a passenger or crew member falls off the ship and into the ocean. Over the past 22 years, over 300 people have fallen off cruise ships or large ferries. That may not seem like a lot when you consider just how many people have gone on a cruise since the year 2000, but still, 300 is a lot of people. 300 people don't fall out of airplanes every year. That's an average of about 1.5 people every month. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that only 17 to 25% of people who fall overboard get rescued. Many have blamed the crazy amount of alcohol that gets consumed on cruise ships for this. This number also includes crew suicides, and it's speculated that poor working conditions on the ships is a factor why those happen. A lot of ships also don't have the latest sensors that help to detect overboard people. The cruise ship industry has said that virtually all overboard incidents are the customer's fault. Maritime lawyer Jim Walker speculates that half of the cases where people go overboard is because of murder. Falling overboard isn't the only thing you have to be concerned about on a cruise. There are also pirates. Most passengers on cruises will have valuables with them, so therefore there's plenty of things worth stealing on board for pirates. This makes cruise ships natural targets for pirates. There have been a few pirate attacks on cruise ships, something that you're not going to see get brought up in the marketing at all. You will most likely never see them, but cruise ships keep guns on board. They are typically in a safe that only the captain can access, and in the event of an emergency, he will distribute them to security. Cruise ships have other anti-pirate defenses as well, such as fire hoses that can be used to blast the pirates off the ship. Cruise ships can also just ram the pirates, who have boats that are way smaller than their target. Some cruise ships even have sonic cannons like the ones that were used to fend off pirates on the Seaborne Spirit. That being said, the more common threat on cruises isn't pirates, it's other passengers. There used to be so much crime on cruise ships that the government decided to get involved. They passed the Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act in 2010. In the act, it says passengers on cruise vessels have an inadequate appreciation of their potential vulnerability to crime. Essentially, people didn't really know how much crime actually goes down on cruises. Congress said that both passengers and crew had been committing crimes. Unfortunately, there's not much data on this issue because cruise lines don't make this information publicly available. Crime scenes on cruise ships obviously can't be quickly investigated by police. Cruise ships don't have cops on them. They do, however, have jails. Jail on a seafaring vessel is referred to as the brig. Usually, the brig on a cruise ship is just one small room with a bed and a toilet that can be locked from the outside. It's basically a single jail cell that can be used to hold a passenger who may be just too crazy or dangerous to be allowed to keep walking around the boat. It can also be used to temporarily restrain people who are so drunk that they're causing a problem. The brig is the last resort. If someone gets in serious trouble on a cruise, what's more likely to happen is that that person would be confined to their room, and a security guard would be posted right outside his or her door. It's also possible to get kicked off a cruise. Of course, they wouldn't make someone walk the plank per se, but cruises can kick people off at ports. Going on a cruise ship isn't exactly like going through TSA, but there are still metal detectors before you get on and rules about certain items. Some of the things you can't bring on are pretty obvious, such as any weapons, but some banned items are less intuitive. For instance, you can't bring an iron or a steamer onto a cruise ship. These things, along with kettles and mug warmers, are considered fire hazards, so you can't bring them out to sea. Homemade food and any sort of alcohol aren't allowed to be brought on either. This is more because it cuts into the cruise ship's profits than it is about safety. Wheelies, those shoes that have wheels in them, are also not allowed on cruise ships. Neither are skateboards. There's plenty of room, but it's seen as too dangerous. As cool as it would be to skateboard off a cruise ship and into the ocean, this isn't what cruise lines want you to do while you are on board. Balloons and kites are also not allowed on cruise ships, neither are restraints of any kind, such as handcuffs or zip ties. Another cruise ship secret that you're not going to see on any of the brochures is the issue of viruses and bacteria. For example, norovirus causes gastrointestinal problems, which is something that could definitely put a dent in your vacation plans. It doesn't usually have long-term side effects, but being sick on vacation isn't anyone's idea of fun. Since you and your fellow passengers would be all stuck on the same boat together, it's easy to pass things back and forth. This is why there have been so many issues regarding cruise ships and coronavirus. It isn't as though cruise ships are unique breeding grounds for disease. There's nothing wrong with the ship itself or the water, it's just the relatively small indoor space being shared with strangers. In general, cruise lines try not to alarm the passengers. They like to keep anything unusual on the down low and will only notify people if there is an emergency so severe that they might have to get off the ship. Cruise ship crews have codes that they use to communicate without tipping off passengers about what's going on. For instance, PVI means public vomiting. Some people get seasick on cruises, but there are worse codes you can hear than PVI. If you ever hear Bravo on a cruise ship, that's when you can start to get concerned. Bravo is the code for a fire on the ship. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie means that there is a security threat. When there's a medical emergency, you'll probably hear Alpha. When the medical emergency is so serious that they need a stretcher, you might hear Sierra. If things get even worse than that, you'll hear Operation Bright Star or Operation Rising Star. This is the crew code for when someone has passed away on the ship, and the crew needs to take care of the dead person as discreetly as possible. This isn't the sort of thing anyone would want to hear about while relaxing poolside. Cruise ships are at sea for days or weeks, and depending on the cruise line, some have a lot of elderly clientele. So it's inevitable that some people pass away at sea. For this reason, cruise ships have morgues on board for passengers who pass at sea. Of course, the body can't just be left in the room, and needless to say, bodies can't just be thrown overboard either. So the body is stuck on board, potentially for quite a long time. The morgue is usually located on one of the lowest ship decks, where there's no way a passenger could somehow stumble upon it. The morgue is a stainless steel refrigerated room with individual compartments for the different bodies. The larger the ship, the more shelves there will be in the ship's morgue. And no, these aren't the same refrigerators that are used for food. Dying on cruise ships is so common that not only do they have morgues, but cruise lines also have special teams who can help the dead person's relatives deal with the potential legal complications. There can sometimes be complicated logistics involved when returning the body to their home country for burial. The cost for all this, however, comes down to the family of the person who died, something travel insurance easily would take care of. While some people make cruises their final visiting spot, there are also people who do the same thing on a much longer timeline, the people who live on cruises. Yes, there are actually people who live on cruise ships all year. On some ships, you can even buy a permanent residence. For instance, the ship The World offers private studios as well as 1, 2, and even 3-bedroom apartments to live on board. These residences vary wildly in price. They go for anywhere from $300,000 to $30 million. On top of that, residents also have to pay a yearly maintenance fee. It's not as though they can fix anything themselves or even hire someone to do repairs. Cruise ships like The World are catering more towards retirees as far as full-timers go. Then there's Storyline Cruises, which is tailored more towards working professionals. If you work online, hey, why not just move onto a cruise ship? Perhaps the biggest secret cruise ships don't like to advertise is that they are awful for the environment. They can pollute the water with all sorts of things, such as sewage, ballast water, and hazardous waste. Clearly, this isn't great for marine life, and they pollute the air too. Most cruise ships primarily run on heavy fuel oil, and since heavy fuel oil has high amounts of sulfur, the sulfur dioxide emissions are way worse compared to cars. Cruise ships use 60% of this fuel for moving the boat through the water, while the rest is for energy use for the passengers. Cruise ships also require electrical power. This electricity is created by diesel generators. Even while docked, cruise ships have to run these generators continuously to power all onboard facilities. That's a lot of fuel. Some ships, however, are equipped to run off electricity from land while they're parked. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comment section whether or not you would ever live full-time on a cruise ship.